good morning time, good evening time, good afternoon time, whatever the case may be in your part of the world. What's happening, E-World? You know who it is, Crisscrossing Wires. And today, uh, much like other times in the past, I've said some things and then switched directions. So this is another one of those direction changes. Now, yesterday I was able to do a pretty good speed test, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture any of it on camera. But hopefully, y'all take my word for it. Now, that being said, I was able to get up in the 90s, and let me say this, fellas. Uh, There's no doubt in my mind as of right now, after I explain what I'm about to explain to you guys, that I'm pretty positive that I am going to successfully hit my goal of triple digits. At least let's just hope and pray on it. Now, it's not that I won't hit the triple digits if I do what I'm say I'm going to do, but when I say successfully, I mean safely. Okay, because there is that factor as well. This is pretty dangerous what I'm doing, but I mean, at the same time, it's all dangerous. Whether you're going 50 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, if something happens, it ain't gonna turn out too good. So all I can say is, God willing, um, you know, everything will work out a-okay. Now, also understand that just because I'm creating a bike that could possibly do triple digits doesn't mean that that's something I'm going to be doing on the regular. Uh, Only real reason why I'm doing this is because, as you guys know, this is a DIY performance channel, and honestly, I gotta come up with something that has some great performance. Otherwise, I'll just be a talker and not a doer. So, yeah, it's only right that the Crisscrossing Wires channel have a bike that's badass. And I mean, that's just not, you know, talking trash. That's just a matter of fact. At the same time, please understand, fellas, that when I'm out here shit talking and talking trash, that's all it is talking trash. I never mean any harm by it. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm not trying to show off and be a jerk. You know, I'm merely trying to back up the stuff that I've been saying forever as far as my beliefs and what it takes to make a fast and powerful e-bike and the means to get there. You know, you can make your mouth say anything, but to show and prove is another thing. Now, that being said, back to this bike. Now, uh, with me adding that extra battery on up on the back there, I'm able to almost provide enough amps to this system. Not in the way I would want to, with a nicely beautiful, well-designed race pack, or a nice fancy battery system. But even though it may be a little funny looking, it happens to work. Okay, that being said, I'm now at the point of diminishing return. Whereas though I'm pretty much almost supplying the amps this thing needs. And at this stage of the game, I'm not really going to be getting much more performance. There are some other adjustments I can make. You know, uh, I'm only using about 12% field weakening right now. We can bump it up to 25, and that's going to help. Uh, and in fact, I'm not saying that I won't be able to achieve my goal of getting up to that speed. However, it's definitely proving to be very difficult to do so at 72 volts. Now, I've always said that the formula for power, as I've stated many times, is amps times volts equals watts. And, you know, no matter which one you increase, you know, amps or volts, you're going to increase your output power. However, at the same time, increasing voltage helps give you certain different outcomes as opposed to amps. You know, the more amps you can supply to your system, or the amount of amps, the more torque you can provide. And at the same time, the more volts, the higher RPMs you can reach. Now, that being said, at 72 volts, it requires hella amps to reach a certain amount of speed. And you know, at some point, no matter how many amps you give it, you're only going to reach a certain RPM level. And you know, that's when you need like field weakening and stuff like that to counter back EMF and all that kind of stuff. Now, the bike that I wanted to build from the beginning was going to be a high voltage system. And reason why I wanted to go with high voltage, because obviously higher voltage would draw less current. Now, I'm not a fan of drawing all these amps that I'm drawing right now. 350, 450 amps is a hell of a lot of amps. I would much rather do it with half the amps in higher voltage. So that direction change, again, it's not that I'm actually changing direction. I'm actually getting back on the path that I was on from the beginning. I actually changed directions when I acquired this BAC 8000 and decided to do it with high current. That was a direction change. But now I want to go back onto my original path. Now, I'm about to switch these LiPos around, because right now they're running parallel with my 72 volt system to give me more current flow, that and also that 20 amp hour battery on the back. Now what I'm about to do is, instead of using them in parallel for more current, I'm going back to running them in series. Now that's a these are 3S packs, 3S, and I have a 20S lithium pack. Now I found out that BACs can safely handle a 22S system. Now 22S system fully charged is 92.4 volts. That being said, I can run these 3S LiPos in series with my 20S lithium. Now that is a 23S system. However, if I undercharge both, if I charge my 72 volt battery up to 82.2 volts, which is better for the battery, and charge these 3S LiPos up to 10.2 volts, which is under their full charge as well, that will give me my 92.4 volts. And, you know, at some point, if everything goes fine with that, you know I'm going to push it to the limit one day. I may be in a race or something, and I might just go ahead and fully charge both of them. And that's going to take me a little over like the 94, 96 volts. But, hey, you know, I push boundaries. But for right now, like I said, going to run that 3S in series with that 20S. And I'm going to make sure the voltage is still at a 22S voltage, which is 92.4. So that's the game plan. I'm going to pull those lipos back out. I'm going to rewire them in parallel and run that in series with my 72 volt. Now, at the same time, because I was running 7 of these lipos in series, 7 of the lipos in series was a 21S pack. And I was basically doing the same thing, running that voltage a little lower to run it in parallel with my 20S lithium. Now that I'm going to be running these in series, I'm going to put all those together in parallel, which will be 7 of those. So that will be 3S at 70 amp hour, okay? At the same time, I could also leave it so I could run. I'm gonna leave a connector, so if ever I want to plug up that extra lithium pack and run that in parallel with this 40 amp hour, that's 20 amp hour, so I will have 60 amp hour of lithium in series with, and I don't have to use 7 of these in parallel. I can use 6. So let's say 6 to keep it even. 6 of these 3S will give me a 60 amp hour. 60 amp hours of 3S in series with 60 amp hour of 20S, 23S system, running at that low voltage, as I said, 92.4 volts. And running it that way, I will draw a whole lot less amps. You know, if we did the math on that, I don't have my calculator out here and I can't do it. I mean, you know, couldn't give you exact figures off the top of my head, but let's say I'm pretty sure I can produce the same amount of power with probably 150 less amps, possibly, maybe more than that. I have to do the math, but yeah, instead of right now running 350, 400 amps, I could do the same power with the 92 volts and hopefully be around 200 amps. And I much prefer to do it that way. All right, y'all, so that's where we at for right now. Also, the next thing I will be doing is I got to go back to the cyber bike. We're going to be hooking up the Saviton 72-150 on the cyber bike and see how that runs. And I'm sure that will be fine. And we may also change over that secondary chain to a belt. So the primary right now has a belt, which is why this bike is a whole lot quieter than most. And if we do the secondary, both of them will be belt drives at that point, and this Cyber X will be extremely quiet. As far as people saying, why am I putting the Saviton on here? Well, that's because I took the back off of there. But a back on this bike was overkill. The BMS on the battery pack on this system was 150 amp BMS. No way that BAC 8000 could do what it needed to do with that. Okay, you hear the grass cutting guys coming, and also they're still working on the backs. They haven't gotten to my house yet. They're on the side of this house, but they still got my shop jacked up in the meantime. All right, y'all, so that's where we at. Take it easy, take care. Why? Crooked Finger Production, deuces, we out.